Hey, everybody, welcome to the Psychic Wives podcast. I'm Jerry Carabin.
I'm Kathy Rumsey.
I'm Ginger Hendry.
And I'm Mary Dalba.
Yay, Mary's back.
Mary's back.
Mary's becoming a regular. Yeah, we have Mary Dalba again here with us this week. You're getting to know her quite well. She was on, I don't know the first time we had you on, but it was a long time ago. So Mary started as a guest talking about all the things that she knows about. And then last week we were here. What we were talking about last week? Oh, grief. That was a good one.
Yeah,
That was a really good one. And so then we decided whenever we get off, we're like, okay, what else can we talk about with Mary? And so she's back again, but this is a good one that we're super interested in because she knows all things about astrology. So I don't know who brought it up. I thought it was either you, Kathy, or Ginger saying, hey, tell us what's going on. So even though today she's a guest wife, she's talking about astrology, and we're just going to be peppering her with questions, I believe.
Tell me what I'm going to be doing. No.
Tell me what's going on. So Mary, what is it? What are you going to tell us? Like just in general, what's going on? Just start talking.
Well, for a general theme, I think we're seeing a lot of revolution. We're seeing a lot of digging into things that are the usual foundations and getting torn apart, looked at, blown up, whatever you want to call them. So I had taken some notes because there's a lot going on for the rest of the year. And I want everybody to know it's going to be fine. But anything that's hidden or anything that you're sort of avoiding at this point, 2023 theme is you can't do that anymore. We are confronting what we need to confront or looking at what we need to look at.
And here's a question already. Are you saying you can't do that anymore? Like, don't do that, or can't do that anymore because you're not going to have a choice?
You're not going to have a choice.
Got it.
So go easy or go hard, but it's just whatever it is, it's
Okay.
coming your way. Yeah. So the first big thing that you've probably heard about and we've been talking about is Pluto and Aquarius. So the reason why this is such a big deal is because Pluto is the slowest moving planet. That means it takes a long time to go through the sign. So I call it a generational planet. It sits in a sign for, around 20 years. So that's why everybody who's born in the next 20 years or so are going to have Pluto and Aquarius. Those are our rebels and our people that are not going to let things get hidden anymore. The last time this happened, we had the French Revolution, independence for America, classical music showed up. So this is a time where there's intense focus on what needs to come to the surface. Now, the reason why that's important overall for us, so you have it in your own life, and any place you have a planet in Aquarius or something in Aquarius is going to be highlighted. So here's what I mean by that. If you look at your astrological chart and you have anything in Aquarius, or Aquarius is ruling a particular house, like your rising sign, anything like that, that's where you're going to be focused on for the next, 20 or so years. So
that's a
long time. Did you see my face? Like, oh my
God. Yeah. I know. But the good news is that we had Capricorn, Pluto and Capricorn. That started in 2008. So that was about 15 years. So think about what you've been unearthing in your business life, in your fame, and your reputation, your career, not your job, your career, since 2008. Now, if we think back to 2008, when everything started, we had all kinds of structures blowing up, right? We had the auto industry, the bank industry, we had tons of layoffs, we had, some chaos, but we had to go back and look at our financials, which is a lot of what Capricorn's about. Now with Aquarius, it's about how we rebel, how we innovate. It's technology. It's I wouldn't be surprised if there's something new coming out, like an iPhone, what it did back in the day, something new like that coming out. But yeah, we have this till 2043.
Wow.
So
I wonder if it's AI, Mary. Do you think
that could be part of it too? Yeah. Absolutely. But Aquarius is like, what are the rules? Yeah, I don't like those too much. I'm going to make new rules.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So here's the other thing. If you think about Pluto moved into Aquarius on March 23rd. It's staying there till June 11th. Think about everything that's starting to come out in the world. What we're unearthing, what we're talking about, more and more information is coming to the surface all across the board. You're not going to be able to hide that kind of stuff, especially if it's affecting a particular group or a particular philosophy. It's a social justice kind of sign of Aquarius. They're all about social justice and how we affect groups. So, yeah, a lot of things are going to have to be shaken up. Yeah. So a
like
retrograde,
more than they already
they already are.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Which is
holy
like a little
crap.
hard to believe, because that just seems like if we keep going down this path, it's gonna get ugly.
Yeah.
It's already ugly.
I
It's
mean, it
already
is already
bad.
ugly,
Yeah.
but it's like,
Well, that's what I mean, more than it already is. Like,
Right.
holy crap. Um,
But think of it this way, if things don't come to the surface and we look
Right.
at them and we adjust, then all the kind of things that are hurting people are just going to keep going.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we know that there's a divide in a lot of different groups in the world between race, sex, you know, as far as economic status, things like that. Well, we're going to have to pull those closer. And
Mm.
that's what people are fighting against because, you know, there's a certain amount of benefit if there's people fighting with each other, right? Overall. So, and we're looking for harmony. We're looking for it to affect the group. So let me give you the dates on this because this is important. March 23rd it started. It's going to go through June 11th. And then what happens is Pluto's going to move backwards into Capricorn again. So what that means is if there's anything you need to tidy up as far as your career and your fame and your work. So here's the thing. If you want to finally like write that book, like you want to take that chance on something you think is going to help the collective, this is the time to do it.
Mm.
This is the time to do it because not only are you going to have the support of Pluto and Capricorn, which is going to help you create the structure, but Pluto and Aquarius is going to send it to the universe. So this is the time to be working on stuff with that. It goes back into Aquarius January 20th of 2024 through September 20th of 2024.
Wow.
Election year in the United States. How's that for you?
Oh, right.
Yep. And then it goes in, it backs up again a little bit in September. Then it hits November 19th, 2024, and it goes through 2043. So that's when it's finally moving forward in Aquarius. So think about that. The shakeups are going to be happening around how we vote, you know, how the election cycles are, things like that, things that affect groups, the collective, the you know, people in the universe.
so hear me out for a second, because
Of course.
this to me feels like sort of like what we were saying, like, oh my God, how much more of this can we take?
Mhm.
So, you know, I'm not a doom and gloom person, but holy crap, that feels doom and gloomy. You know what I mean? Like, but is it?
It's no, see how I look at this is while it's going to be tough, I think a lot of times we're going to ideas that we have about collective things are going to change. You
Okay.
know, so we think like this group is this great group and then maybe they're not, or maybe this new group comes out of it and hey, we're going to put our support behind it. So I think at this point what we have to do, especially as spiritual practitioners, you know, workers of the light, whatever you want to call us, is that's where we have to find our courage to say this isn't going to work for us anymore. So it's really the voices of folks who want to make it better are going to have to push to get to be the loudest voices. So you just
Okay,
do your
and
work.
I was just thinking when you were saying that a lot recently in like readings that I'm doing with clients are um, finding the opportunity. So if
Yeah.
we can look at it that way, okay, so this you know, if something is feeling really chaotic to us, we can say, okay, where's the opportunity in this?
Right.
That
Right.
I can make a difference, or I can change myself, or change
Right.
my circumstances, or whatever.
Right. And then I can
You know,
bring
that
that
way.
forward to other people.
And bring
So I
that
can
forward to
find my
other people.
collective to do that with. So find your people. This is a good time to find your people.
Yeah,
Yes.
because right now, I mean, if you look at almost anything, it's not working, right? I mean, healthcare is not working. Politics is not working. I mean, almost in any segment all around the world, things that have worked for many, not all, now don't work probably for the majority. And so it is time to shake up. I agree with Jerry. Like, I'm not a doom and gloom person either, but it just feels like 20 years.
I know, like,
I
oh my
know.
God.
Well,
I'm
that's the
sitting
thing
there
that just
doing,
feels
how
so
old am I going to
daunting.
be? Like, yikes.
I want to be here by the end of that so I can see, you know.
Yeah.
And we will be. I think what it is just we're ripping off the band-aid of those things and we're creating new structures.
Yeah.
So, you know, not the whole time is it going to be shaken up, but I think, you know, at the beginning, especially, like I said, it's hitting during a political, you know, race. It's hitting during times that, you know, things are really coming to a head, everything across the board. So now it's like, how do we create the foundation for people to build on to all be in a good place. So
Mhm.
it's work, but it's not doom and gloom. It's just we're going to see something else come out. We're going to go, oh yeah, I'm not surprised at that now. Okay. Oh, that
Mhm.
article came out. Yeah, I'm not surprised at that.
So let me ask you questions. And
Yeah.
this may be whatever. This may be something, I don't know. Having trouble picking the words today. So sometime, like I've had conversations with people, I know we've kind of touched on this in places before, like when something comes up, it's like, okay, suppose there was this, you know, an issue with, I'm going to use family because we all know that I have an issue with or part of my
We
family
all do. Let's,
has
you
an
know,
issue with
I
me.
I
Okay.
think that's common. Yeah.
So it comes up and everybody says it comes up because you're ready to deal with it. Okay. So, and then you kind of like, okay, look at it from a different perspective. And then you're like, okay, I dealt with that. And then maybe it comes up again 5 years later. I know this recently happened to me and I'm kind of like, what the hell? I
yeah,
dealt
because there's
with that
another layer,
because
right?
there's another layer. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think that, you know, cosmically, universally, that's what somehow that's what's happening? Like this kind of stuff is coming up because we're better able to deal with this layer of it. Does
Mhm.
that make sense the way I'm saying that in like in like a whole cosmic thing? And I know it's planets and alignment and everything, but I don't believe in coincidences.
No,
So
no.
do you see what I'm saying?
I
Does that make
do. And I
sense?
think the planet, if you think about what started in 2020, right? We had a lot come up around um, you know, Black Lives Matter, racial rights, things like that. We have all kinds of things that are popping up that we need to look at and decide where we're going to land on it. So even personally, it's like, so if I have to say something to a family member, you know, you brought up family, well, then that's going to come out because we have to do what's best for the collective. And for some people, it might be, you know what, I can't talk to this person anymore. Right.
Mhm.
And then you do that, and someone else in the family goes, oh, I was too afraid, but now I'm not. You're not to
Okay.
alienate someone. I don't mean it like that, but maybe
No,
it's
I
like,
get it.
you know, it's
Yeah.
healing some generational things. So I think that's what we're looking at now. We're looking at more of like, how is the collective getting affected and how are we going to contribute to healing?
Right.
That's really what it's coming up, because it's Pluto's going, look at it, look at it, look at it. What is it? Is this what you want the world to be like? Is this what you want? You know, is this what you want things to be like? And I don't know. I have, you know, young nieces and nephews that I don't want to leave the world to a place that, you know, isn't
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that's what we're looking at now is where do you stand on these things? How do you help other people? You know,
Mhm.
but it's also an examination of us, you know, where do we land on these things? So yeah, it's
And
interesting.
there's the global stuff, but like you said, there's also within us personally.
Right,
Like,
right.
are
And
we
again,
going to
I
finally
like
step up for ourselves?
Mhm.
right, and the opportunity to step up and become as authentic as you can become and
Mhm.
leave stuff behind that's not necessary for
Right.
you and move in the direction of something that is necessary for you or the collective um and owning it piece
Mhm.
to it maybe.
Yeah.
And so, Mary, I don't understand astrology that much. I've always been interested in like my, you know, my horoscope and whatever. But does this affect certain people more than others based on when they were born?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It sure does. So I always say it like this. So where we're born is a snapshot of where all the planets were, right? But the
Right.
planets can still keep moving. So right now with Pluto being in Aquarius, that's why I said you want to look at your chart where anything is in Aquarius. If your sun's in Aquarius, it's going to affect you more, say, you know, because now it's hitting right on your core. If you're like my moon's in Aquarius, so I have to deal with all my emotional stuff and how I feel emotionally.
Okay.
12th house
And is
too.
that
Super
right
fun.
now or like
Mhm.
all the time? That's just right now. Your
Well, so
moon is right now.
Pluto's coming up on my moon. It's going to be like, hey, we're going to hang out together for the next 20 years. How do you feel about that?
Mhm. Awesome.
Awesome. But that's again, it's like things that I need to look at because so it affects everybody differently because it depends on if they have a lot of planets in Aquarius, if you know their sun's in Aquarius. It's really going to hit people who have some Aquarian in their chart a bit more. So
Okay.
Yeah. So it's always good to get a reading and just see like where things
Yeah,
are.
I was gonna say, so it's like, I want to get a reading because I don't know any of this stuff.
And Mary, you do readings, right?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
So you know you're gonna get 3 bookings after this.
And you need to know preferably the actual time you were born,
Yeah, you do.
like to the minute or like roughly.
Well, a good astrologer will be able to kind of back into things if you have like it close, but the
Mhm.
more accurate you can get is better. So like if you ask your mom, say your mom's still here and she says, I think it was the afternoon, we'll work with that, you know?
Okay.
But if you can call, like your city hall might have it on the birth certificate, the hospital you were born in, sometimes they keep those records. So you can
It's
always
on my
ask.
birth certificate.
Yeah, it's funny. It's not on mine. My
Okay.
husband has his on his birth certificate. Mine does not. And we were born like within 6 months of each other in the same state. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But I've asked my dad a few times and I've gotten the same answer a few times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm feeling confident that like I know generally, like not an exact time, but generally when it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
So when somebody books, I just want to go because you brought up the time. When somebody books with you, or when they do, you need what are the things you need? You need name,
birth date.
birth
So
date,
exactly
birth
birthday,
time, birth city,
birthplace. Yeah.
birthplace. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Curious about that. So I have another question tag teaming on what Kathy just said, affecting certain people. Can it affect, air quotes here if you're listening on the podcast and not seeing us, can it affect people like us? More sensitives, intuitives?
Right. Because Aquarius is also very intuitive.
Okay.
So it's going to be poking at. So if we find that we're a little more sensitive psychic, absolutely. Because
Okay.
Pluto's unearthing things. So we may be picking up things globally too. That's the other thing. I don't know how y'all dreams have been lately, but mine have been like, whoa, you know? So it can do that too. Mm-hmm.
Can you give me an example of what a dream, or just, when you say whoa, do you mean just like incredibly vibrant or incredibly just weird, or where did that come from? Because I'm definitely having some, why is, and you know what's interesting, now that I'm saying it, I'm like, why is that coming up again?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that coming up again?
Yeah.
You know, like there are 2 people that are consistently in my dreams over the past several weeks
Oh,
that
interesting.
are not a part of my life anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But
Same.
they're coming back in this dream where I'm like,
But they are.
like, right.
They're part of your subconscious.
Yeah. Like so is that kind of what you mean? Or
Yeah, well, mine that have been coming up is like working out things that I thought were worked out. And then I see another side of it. And I'm like,
okay, so that makes sense because
oh.
I thought I had let these people go,
Mm.
or was over them letting me go.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that thing, another layer.
Right. Right. So it's digging up the feelings where you're like, oh, I can admit to those feelings. Like I didn't think I had those feelings, but I actually do have those feelings about that. And
Yeah.
how can I work it out, you know?
You know, my husband always says ignorance is bliss. And sometimes I really wish it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm sorry, we really interrupted you there.
That's okay. That's okay. So that's the big thing. I think Pluto and Aquarius is, where do you stand? What are you going to do to make it better? And you need to unearth the stuff that is sitting, that you've stuffed way down. You can't do it anymore. You have to think about it and get rid of it. So that's the big stuff. But it's not for the 20 years. It's like if you try to hide anything, Pluto's going to go, cute. That's cute.
You're so
Going to
sweet.
remind you, that's so cute. Yeah. So then we have next, Saturn moves into the sign of Pisces, which started on March 7th. Saturn. So I always look at astrology as an equation. Like if you're looking at someone's chart, it's the planet plus the sign plus the house. That's the equation. Okay. So Saturn is the planet of boundaries, restrictions. I call him like the father, the very like, this is what we have to do, even if you don't want to do it. That's Saturn. He kind of pushes down on you. I call him Father Karma. With it being in Pisces, now you're looking at how you escape.
So interruption, if you are a Pisces,
Mm-hmm.
does it affect you more?
It will, because then your Saturn's getting close to your sun. So Saturn's like pushing down on you about how you're handling things of escapism, spirituality.
Okay, so when are those dates where I need to crawl into bed again?
March 7th.
I think
this
it's you're a Pisces.
Because I'm a Pisces.
Okay.
And it goes through February 2026.
Ooh, that's
Oh my
long.
God.
3 years. Now, here's the other thing I'll let you know. If you are certain ages, you're also probably going through what they call a Saturn return. It's not just an album by No Doubt. It's Saturn return. For those of you who are around in the 90s. So between the ages of 28 and 30, 58 and 60, and then if we're lucky, 88 to 90, you go through a Saturn return. So Saturn shows back up at the time of your birth. It shows up in the same place. So if that's the case, then not only are you going to have to look at the ways that you're escaping, what your spirituality is and things like that, because it's the ethereal, it's the things we can't really touch. But then also those things are going to start like leaving you quickly also. So like if you have some kind of unhealthy escapism going on,
Okay.
it's going to come right in your face, because Saturn's going to be like, what are we doing with this now? Because Saturn is the boundary, the restrictor. Oh, so you're going to think you're going to drink your way out of this? Nope. We have to look at that now. So it's making you look at healthier coping mechanisms, healthier connections to spirit, healthier, collective relationships. Like, how are you dealing with relationships? But also, like, if some folks are working on sobriety or need to, that might come up right in their face. So that's the thing you have to remember. But what it does do is it has us looking at how we connect spiritually and how we connect to our core for soothing and healing, because Pisces is a healer too. So I like to tell both sides. Saturn can sometimes come down on when you're escaping and not in a healthy way, or Saturn can create the structure for you to escape in really healthy ways, like create your art, write your book, sing poetry, all that. Saturn's going to give you that structure, which is great. But if you're unhealthy, Saturn's going to go, time to give that up.
Got it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And think about all the ways you escape. It could be shopping, could be drinking, could be drugs, could be,
Facebook.
Facebook. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All those ways, get me out of here. Get me out of here. Well, Saturn goes, no, not quite so much. Not quite so much. So, yeah. So that's
Jerry, are you in that age too?
Yeah.
One of those, yeah, I thought so.
So what did you say? You said
28 to 30.
Right.
28 to 30, 58 to 60, 57 to 59, somewhere in there.
I'm
And then
58. I'm 59 right now.
Yeah. 80. So you're going through right now. So 88 to 90.
So
is
I'm
the other.
going through this for the next 3 years.
Well, I'm going to say if you're more towards the end of it, you're probably coming to the end of your Saturn might be, I'd have to look at your chart, but your Saturn might be in Aquarius. So I'd have to look.
Okay.
But regardless, you're so things that you're not supposed to keep get thrown out now.
Yeah.
Then they've probably been getting thrown out for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does
So
make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it makes sense in a kind of a good way.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've been doing that over the past couple of years.
Yeah,
Maybe.
so your Saturn's in Aquarius, I bet.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're going through it now. But it's okay, because things have to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's better for me? What's better for my life purpose? That's why things are knocking off. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's okay. You're okay.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Right?
Still here. Still here.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Isn't
Saturn.
it funny how we're like, she'll say something. Oh my God, that's me.
Right. I like to tell people about it because they're like, oh, great. Because, my Saturn return, I got divorced, moved back home, ended up breaking like my best friendship up. I quit my job. And there was one other thing, but I went through like 5 things. And then I was like, oh, all right, this is where I can build from there. But those 2.5 years were not fun.
Yeah.
They were not amusing.
Yeah, right.
I'll say it that way. I was like, what is this? So yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's Saturn and Pisces. The next thing, which is actually really wonderful, is Jupiter and Taurus. So Jupiter moved into the sign of Taurus. It'll be there for the next year, started on May 16th. This is where we have luck and expansion around our money, our possessions, our appearance, how we care for ourselves and others. Luck comes into play because Jupiter really loves being in Taurus. It just gives us more of the things that we want and expands out on them. So this is a time that you want to create luck in your life. If you, this is a great time to write out your goals for the next year. It's a great time to think about just stuff I don't mean like we all want to get things, but if you're like, I'd love to open a spiritual shop, like this is the time to think about it and to manifest it, because Jupiter's working in everybody's favor. So it's a great time for that. I think it also helps with the care of others too. How are we caring for others? Because Taurus wants to keep everybody feeling like they're cared for and they're pampered, and so this is a lot of how we take care of others. We may find ourselves more generous this year, or someone's more generous to us, more opportunities, because Jupiter's just like, let's expand it. What you have to be careful of is Jupiter also goes to excess. So you don't want to, you may not want to buy the boat this year, y'all. Like, unless you can, you know what I mean? It's a lot of like, all right, let's make some good moves and not go excessive and throw money out the window, because we might not get it back in that way that we've spent it. You know what I mean? A boat might not be as much if you go to sell it.
Right. Trust me, it's not.
Right. But
Never
no, but just don't let the money get away from you. If you planned on doing an addition to your house, and this is the time to do it. You can beautify it as much as you want. Just try to keep it within your budget, because you was like more, bigger. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. My card maxed out. So, but it's a lot of opportunities, a ton of opportunities. It's a really lucky aspect to have Jupiter in Taurus. So yeah. I love it. When that happened, I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be so good for so many people. So and then the one of the other things two other things I wanted to mention, but I'm gonna talk let me talk first about Mercury retrograde. So at the end of this year,
Mercury retrograde.
Yep. In Capricorn, December 13th to January 1st.
Could you do me a favor? Explain retrograde to,
Sure.
I'm sure some people listening don't know what that means.
Sure. Yeah, of course. So when a planet is moving retrograde, it looks like in the sky it's moving backwards, but it's not what it's doing. And from an astrology perspective, what I say is it's like the planet has a cold, not quite at its full power. It's there, but it's not thinking quite as clearly. It may be like, I'm not moving quite as quick, may have forgotten something. So when Mercury, the planet of communications, commerce, travel, and mechanics, is going retrograde, it means things like packages that you have ordered don't get there in time or get completely lost. If you're traveling, you have to check and double check your flight plans. That is considered a holiday season, December 13th to January 1st. So whatever plans you have, just be ready for plan B if you need them. And mechanics, sometimes your car is just the battery dies, that kind of thing. What it does do is it helps you go. Retrogrades are also good for going inside, going within, because you can't do much. Like you're like, well, I'm getting slowed down here. I can order this package, but now I got to chase it down, kind of thing. So it slows you down. But when you can go inside, you can look at how you're communicating, how you're, are you traveling too much? Are you maybe not seeing the people you should see? You got to reflect in on those things. Also, with it being in Capricorn, that gives a little flavor of you got to reflect in about your work, your career, your life purpose kind of stuff. So at the end of the year, we do that a lot anyway, because, a lot of people do New Year's resolutions or things like that. So this is going to make us extra inward. But the other thing I will tell, if folks are traveling or say getting gifts at that time or whatever, do it early or give yourself plenty of time. So in other words, don't be like Mary and order from Amazon, on December 22nd, not going to work out. Gonna get there by Christmas Eve. Great. Don't shop early, because Mercury retrograde, it's we'll see something say you order from Amazon, they'll be like, oh, Amazon warehouse is down for the count for the next week. We're all going to be like, so order early. Stuff like that. Yeah. Order early. Yeah. And then the other thing, do we have any more eclipses coming? So if you remember in May, we had a couple of eclipses. So I don't know if you felt like the new moon and the full moon were a little testy in May. They were a little bit. And in October, we have a new moon solar eclipse in Libra. It's October 14th. And the reason why I bring this up is because any type of eclipse is more powerful and kind of hits you a little bit more than a regular new moon or a regular full moon. Eclipses are much more heightened. On October 14th, with it being in Libra, you got to look at your relationships. Yeah. How are your relationships right now? Do they need new beginnings? Doesn't necessarily mean they end. So I'll say that folks get a little worried, like, oh my God. No, it's just like, what about a new beginning? I mean, it could be something like you're friends and you turn into more, or you're more and you turn into friends, but whatever it is, you have to look at whether the relationships in your life are balancing out for you. And maybe there needs to be new parameters around that. So that can be good. Full moon, lunar eclipse is in Taurus on October 28th. So any of those spending habits we talked about earlier, yeah, fix them, because something's going to come to a head there if you don't. Now, it could bring opportunity. It could bring opportunity for better things to happen in your life, because it is in Taurus and it is rough, around money and possessions. But if you got anything that needs to be settled at that point, it's going to come to a head. Full moons are always about like endings, but they're heightened. So it's going to be even more like, oh, I got this bill and this was not good for me, kind of thing. So that's also right near, think about it, Samhain for us folks. Yeah. So we've got that going on. So we can work some magic around that time if we want to get rid of stuff. But we can talk about that later. So, so really what it means is that there's going to be some change and some reflection that needs to happen individually and within your groups this year. So, make sure you, I'll say it this way. I think it's time to truth tell. It's time to say what you need, what you mean. It's going to require some courage on some folks' part, but I think this is the year to do it, because it's not going to let us, this year's not going to let us hide anymore. That's not what we're about. And we need to all be doing our life purpose, or at least working towards it, because the way the earth is right now, we need some extra healing. That's so.
Wow.
It's a lot going on.
It is a lot.
Oh my God. A lot going on.
And it's so funny because we've been talking. Ginger has just been furiously taking notes. She's just like, holy shit.
I am. I'm trying to put it in, and it's in my journal.
Of course
There you
it is
go.
in your planner.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's funny. Yeah.
I mean, the big thing, being from Boston, we had a guy on WBCN called the Cosmic Muffin. And he always used to say, a fool is ruled by the stars, right? So it's what we do with this energy that makes it, shout out to the Cosmic Muffin, but it's what we do with this energy. Knowing what this energy is, knowing what other people are going through, we can sort of, prepare and react accordingly. So that's part of what it is with astrology too. If we know there's changes happening in the world, then we can respond. And that's the great thing, is knowing this in the background. So yeah, there's a lot going on, but part of why we're all here is to respond.
Yeah. And to look at it, like we said before, as an opportunity, as opposed to that. I love what Cosmic Muffin said. What was it again? A fool is ruled by the stars. In other words, if you're like, oh crap, this is happening, and you don't react or move in the direction that you need to move, then you're the fool. That is just letting outside sources dictate in not a good way what you do. Because I guess you could say outside sources were dictating if you chose to do something, but you're choosing,
right?
Instead of to just like, this is happening to me,
right?
Well, it's the whole, like, you're able to be proactive versus reactive when you have
that's
a
great.
glass.
Yeah, perfect way to say it. Oh
exactly. Yeah, I know I'm ordering presents early this year. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, because
I know they're all going to be wrapped in the closet before December.
Because I'm a Capricorn, so I really need to. That December 13th to January 1st might affect me more because I'm a Capricorn.
Yeah, it's going to lean on what you're doing out of course. So like if you say for example, I'm just pulling stuff out of the air, but say for example, like, oh, I send this email, halfway through the month, might not work out well, and you might have to take a different route or write it differently because it has to do with your business. So yeah, and you may come up with different offerings towards the end of the year too. It may be something like that. But yeah, it could lean on you more because of it's, leaning on your core, what your business is about, what you feel like drives you. So it is going to poke at you a little bit to take a look at that again. That's all.
Interesting.
So any of those people that are born in these signs, like Capricorn, like Aquarius, will feel it more deeply. But somebody like me, I'm an Aries, so it just depends on kind of where I am.
It depends on what else is in your chart. Yeah. So if you have any planets in Aquarius or the Pisces, with Saturn and all that, it's going to highlight that area and those planets. So if you pulled your chart up, you'd look at the transits and see where it's sitting in your chart.
Okay.
Well, like I said, for me, for like Pluto and Aquarius, my moon's in Aquarius. So they're going to be hanging out together for a while. And that's all my emotions and my intuition and stuff. I'm like, great. Okay. So let's see what I'm going to be picking up on. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So that's where it's highlighted for me, but globally it's highlighted for all of us. Like how are we dealing with what the secrets or the stuff that we're digging up now? So it can affect both. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I love what you said earlier. about-
Cherry's still processing.
No, it's just
Sorry,
so,
Ginger,
it's
I didn't
just
mean
so
to interrupt you.
interesting to me, and it's just so like I'm really kind of getting into like, ooh, opportunity, but I'm also, and I almost guarantee you that I said this the last time when we had Mary on, because you talked with us about astrology once, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm in awe of people that can get all this stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, I don't know that my brain would ever be able to do what your brain
Oh,
does. You know what I
sure,
mean?
of course
Like
it
you
does.
remember but I also do like I like that idea of, okay, this is what's happening now, and saying, oh, okay, let me ride this. Let me, see what I can do with this.
Mhm.
And that, I think, what a great way to look at it, as opposed to doom and gloom. Like, ooh, okay, what do I get to play with now?
Right.
I really, kind of like that whole aspect of it. It's really cool. So
It's
it
true.
makes me want to know all this stuff, so that's why I've got it down too. The dates, because it could be like a kind of fun opportunity.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's why I'm all like, oh.
I know, Ginger, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to interrupt.
No,
cut
no,
you off, but
I have
the
to-
look on her face was so funny.
I'm muting and unmuting because my next door neighbors are having a house worked on, and so all I can hear is the contractors throwing.
Yeah, we can't hear any of it.
Oh no, we can't hear.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what I was going to say, and I don't think there's an answer to this, but at the beginning we talked about, things like technology, bringing things to the forefront and whatnot. I was just curious if anybody had an opinion on. We are so divided in many ways, right? Religion and money, and race, and all of that. So things are going to be coming to the surface. Does it change people's beliefs? Because people are so entrenched that even though we believe, let's say something comes to the forefront and I feel like I knew that, but then there are a whole group of people who say, no, I don't believe that. I believe this because something else came. So, I don't think we can answer it. It just popped into my head that, maybe there'll be more confusion for a long time.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to make people look at like what their true beliefs are. Like, I hate to say like this, but when Facebook at different times, through the years, something's been coming up and we see people write stuff on Facebook and you're like, oh yeah, that's what you believe. Okay. That's some of the things that are going to still be coming up, is we're going to be hear people. And I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a split, but from there, it's like, we can't live like that. So what are we doing now? We can't live like this.
Mhm.
There's no way. I mean, we see the divide going this way, and like, the spirits, they're all like, you can't
Sustainable.
be a community. You need to still be a community, even if it's, we're all Americans, we're all humans, we're all women, we're all men, whatever, like we can't live with this divide. And so it's going to make us look at what the divide is actually going to cost us. So hopefully we get that message sooner than later, because Aquarius affects groups.
Right.
It's funny. I was listening to someone speak this morning. I was watching something and they were talking about, America's the melting pot. And the guy, he was a comedian, and he's like, it's not a melting pot, it's a charcuterie board. It's like, that's actually brilliant. Like,
It's funny.
shouldn't be a charcuterie board. It's supposed to be a melting pot, but it's turned into a charcuterie board. Yeah. Yeah. So
it's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, it can't sustain like that. Those structures can't sustain.
Yeah.
So
okay. So last minute advice.
Yeah.
Or
Um,
no, I'm asking you last minute. I'm not giving you any advice. Are you kidding me? I'm just
I
going like this to Mary.
yeah.
Um,
I think some of it is to be prepared for the like unpreparable. Like in other words, like just expect anything's going to happen because it probably is. And
mhm.
then the other thing is you have to center in and be mindful of what your role is in this world now. So it's not mindlessly scrolling and kind of like just being out there. It's not working anymore. So what is your role in this world? And even if it's something you think is small, it's still big. So if you're doing something that's um helping either one other person, that's going to help the collective. So um that's the big thing I think people need to realize. Like, just you don't have to do a lot of things, just do something. And think about how your role affects the world, because that's really what it is now.
I
It really
love
is.
that. That is
Yeah.
a really nice piece right there. I love it.
Can I ask a question about your private readings that you do? I'm
Oh, sure.
curious for myself, but I'm sure other people might be listening that might be interested too. So you do a bunch of different stuff. You're a medium, you do astrology, do you do just like intuitive kind of like coaching readings or psychic readings?
I do those too. Yep.
Okay. So if hypothetically speaking, if I were to book a session with you to do astrology, would you be able to like combine it with a psychic thing so we could look at like more of my stuff,
Oh, yeah.
how it relates to the astrology piece?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One is I always have the team with me, as I call them. So they'll
Okay.
be like giving me different things for you to know about. I also project. I don't just look at your natal chart, I project out for a year and a half. So if there's transits that are coming along that you need to know about, I tell you about those so that you can be prepared for them. So it's not just like, here's what you were born with. It's like, here's what you're dealing with for a little while. So
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
so I do all that. Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a deep dive in there
exactly.
with the team on board.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mary, as always, talking
I
to
love
you
it.
is lovely.
So fun.
This has been really, really cool. So, yeah, we've all filled up pages of, dates
Yeah.
and notes and, what to,
Now I need to go take a deep breath.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's it. We got a
so
lot of work to do.
yeah. So again, Mary is our guest wife, but today she was doing her astrology thing. And if anybody is interested in learning more about her, contacting her, booking a session to do that deep dive with yourself, go to our website because her information is on our website, her contact, her website, all that stuff. So that would be obviously at thepsychicwives.com. So if you want to get connected with her, do that. So yeah, Mary, thank you so much for being here again. We'll probably get off this podcast and say, okay, what's next? And get Mary on again. But Mary's a wife. She's a wife.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you.
everybody, thank you so much for listening. As usual, you know where to find us, thepsychicwives.com, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our Facebook page. Touch base and let us know what you think. And until next time.
Be well.
And be kind.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.